This is our 2-tent combo, 2 Ozark Trail wall tents. The back is a 10 by 20. The front is the original 10 by 12. And we've got a 3/16 by 100 foot cable, which only runs about 73 foot, and wire clamps on the far end back there to house the tarp in which we're going to put up, so we don't have to take this tent down. I did not want to cut the cable, so I just wrapped the extra around the tree, and then I've got 3, 4, 5 wire clamps there. I think that's what they're called. And then the hose is circumferencing the wire, so when we put the tarp up, it doesn't wear through the tarp and collapse the tarp onto the tent. Last year, we only had the front tent, the 10 by 12, or the 12 by 10. And at the end of gun season for deer, I took everything out of the tent and put it in 2 dumpster bags, vinyl or canvas dumpster bags, encapsulated them, put a tarp over top of it, and left the framework on the ground. Then we came back in March and put it up, and then we didn't return for a month because of cold temperatures. In between that, in that month, we had a pretty substantial snowstorm. Our neighbor, Northwoods Dream, Dan, came over and knocked the snow off this tent here to keep it from collapsing. Now, as you saw at the beginning of this video, we had about 3 inches of snow on both tents when I came up here on Friday, and that was about the maximum of this light, fluffy snow that we have here. The tents really had a bow in the rafters. Didn't damage anything. But I didn't want to take down 2 tents this year and buy more dumpster bags and then put everything back up. So since we put the tent up in April, I've been trying to figure out a way in which we can overwinter the tents, because at some point there'll be a hard structure here at outbuilding where this is not going to be a concern. So we came up with this concept. We're running a cable up there, back to there. It's not straight with the tent, but it will serve its purpose. And then inside the tent, down the center, will be ridge poles, and in between each rafter there will be a post or a pole that will push up on the material, roofing material, that between each rafter here. There's the rafter, and then there'll be a post or a stick that will push up to take the weight off the rafters. So I reached out to tarps.com, and they were more than happy to help with this project. Now, if you need a tarp of any size, any color, any thickness, tarps.com is the place to go. They've got a variety of different applications in which you can utilize tarps, and I'll talk more about what they offer in a little bit. Now, since I am going to be up here next week, the job of today is to get the tarp up. The tarp is 40 by 40. What I've got here is 32, and I want the tarp is going to act as an A-frame to shed snow off on both sides. It may pile on the tarp, but it will keep the weight off the frame of the tent, preventing the tent from collapsing. I've got a silver tarp and plenty of tent pegs and stakes and long nails to fasten it to the ground. So I've thought about this in my head a lot over the last 6-7 months, and I'll use a quote from Jay in the Woods. It works in my head, now I just got to make it work. Paraphrasing, I got to make it work in reality here. Here is the tarp, 40 by 40 silver tarp. That is 68 pounds. So I'm going to unravel it and then work it up the ladder to get it over the wire and then feed it over, and then I can work with it more easily. Okay, so I had it up there, you saw, and the way it was folded in on itself, and then wrapped in itself again. So there was no way I was going to be able to unfold it up there the way I had it. So I dropped it back down, unraveled it. Now I should be able to do what I need to do very easily, get it fed up, and then pull it across and start pinning it down. Let's see if that will work. So I have got it draped on the cable. I've not got it fastened down. I pulled the top chimney stack off with a cap that was attached to it and just laid it on the tent. It's cold. So now I'm going to start at the front and start working my way back to where I'm fastening it down, stretching it, getting it even on both sides to make this all work. I've got to pull the front farther. I got to pull it farther here. It's pulled too far, so get that and get it all figured out. This side here is complete. Now the goal is not to have a perfect A-frame, because we won't, because of the angle of the cable and the trees. I just want enough of an angle that when the snow hits, that's what I'm wanting. Now it's obviously going to build up a little bit. And then I have put additional support beams in here. As we get farther back, that cable gets more towards the center. And this here, that's a little low there, so I might need another. Well, I don't know if I need another one there or not, because on the inside, I'll show you, I've got bracing right here. I've got a log framework. So it will weigh a little bit here, and I can always I'm going to pull back some of the pins over here and try to get it a little more taut. I don't want it super tight due to the fact that it's got to have some give in it. Right there was a low spot there, and one here. So, oh yeah, I can take and move that, put a pin in there, and move that another 5 inches farther away from the tent. So I'll do that and get that side all done. This other side, I'm still working on. In the front, I've taken strings from the windows on the back tent and tied it down to try to get a little more strength in this front here so it doesn't peel back. And the goal is, again, it's not going to be snowing every day for the next 3 months, but when it does snow, we want to take the pressure off the tent, even though there will be bracing inside of it. Put a lot of the weight on here, and then also allow that snow, what will slide down, to slide down, and the warmth of the air getting up underneath there and around will help it melt off quicker after the snow. Here's the bracing I'm speaking about. I've got 2 small posts notched into the framework, and then 2 bracing across. Also the doorway between the 2 tents, I've got framework on both sides. And then down the center of both tents will have ridge post. And here's another framework there. I don't have anything on this side, but I will have the supporting post and pushing up on the roof. On the front here, on this corner, I have bracing on both sides as well. This side, not as crucial, and I will probably pull that, and I will move that to the other side just to add more support somewhere, since I've already got a frame built whenever I start working on this side over here. Now, none of you will ever do anything like this. Put two wall tents together and put a giant tarp over top of them so you don't have to take them down in the winter. However, if you're looking for a good quality tarps, tarps.com is the place to go. They have poly tarps, vinyl tarps, mesh tarps, canvas tarps, cleared tarps, all-purpose economy tarps, camouflage tarps, and a lot more. So again, thank you to tarps.com for providing us the 40 by 40 silver tarp, so we don't have to take our tents down, and we can come up anytime if we so choose to, since we do have a portable heater inside. Okay, so I've got this other side now complete. It's a little more obstacle induced than the other side. We got two trees here, and then I had our storage tent, and I drug it up underneath to kind of act as a little barrier, help shed some of that off. Did the same back here, but instead of using peg or the tent stakes, I've got a tree there, and I have a tree over there by that bicycle. And then on this side here, I've got a big heavy piece of birch, got a pallet, and I do have multiple tent stakes on this side, and another big heavy piece of birch there. And then that ladder there, if I'm unsuccessful next week at getting a deer, that ladder will lay right there to add support there. So I've done about everything I can do. I won't have the stove going next week. I do have a propane heater with a CO2 monitor on it, so that'll be fine. And then I'll move that one bracing from that side back over in the big tent. So a big thanks to tarps.com for providing us this 40 by 40 silver tent, or the tarp to go over our tent. It will do the job that we have intended for it. This week it's going to get super cold, so all of this will freeze. It's going to get -6 up here, so everything, all the pegs will freeze in the ground. And very happy with the results. Didn't quite turn out the way I had it in my mind, but this will do the job just fine. Made it back to camp and working on the structure of the tent, or the winterization. This side is fine. When you look at it on the right side, it's fine. I do need to maybe tweak just a little bit in there, but overall the snow's sliding off the way it's supposed to. I like it. Over here we've got more obstructions on the left hand side, so I had to go in there and put some post there, over there. That one was there. I added 2 more down there, and I've got cups and bottles on top of them in order to keep it from piercing through the tarp when there become a snow load. It will weigh down, maybe indent it a little bit, but it will slide off. So that is looking pretty good. For the most part, nothing's really touching the tent. That side's totally clear. And then on this side here, I got to get in there and see what's going on. I do have a bracing right where that low spot is. We'll be going back out to the stand momentarily, but I did winterize the back tent. And we've got the tarp up above. to shed snow off. And then I have designed pillars over the summer. I went in here and measured and organized and all these pillars here where, I mean, I can hang all my weight, and I'm over 200 on this, and nothing budges. And then between each rafter, I've got it pushed up, and then I do have the framework there, pillar pushed up there, or pushed up there. I got framework on the front two corners, and then once I get all of my stuff out tonight, if I get one, I'll butcher it out. If I don't, then I'll go home. I've got all my stuff close to the front, and then I've got pillars, 3 in the front tent, and then I've got this framework that I put up on one of the hottest days of the year on this frame here to tie the two tents together. So I've done everything I can to winterize the tent without having to take it down, and taking it down is an absolute pain on the 10 by 12, and it would just multiply by time and a half on the big tent here with all the stuff. I've taken the mattress, put the mattress pad on, and then I'll take the power station. I'll unplug that and get that out of here. Just want to leave it on so you could see what we've got going on. Each one of these are notched according to the length that I measured when I did put them in. And then there's nothing above the bed, but that's almost dead center. The wire or the cable is almost dead center above this, so there should be no major concern with that. I'm not concerned with it, but we're not sure what may come.